general business that comes in that's not on the agenda. And then we go into anything that might be on the agenda. We may have somebody presenting plans for a development. We may have, a lot of times we have a request for zoning that we actually review zoning plans before they go to the zoning board and make a recommendation. Richard Rosen has come in a couple of times and basically explained what he's doing, because a lot of times we're looking at plans and we have no background history on what they're asking for. So it's very difficult for us to say yay or nay. I mean, when you're looking at a zoning board application, a lot of times what ends up happening is there's a lot of discussion back and forth.
Hey, Eric,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but are we gonna go live? Brian totally
Oh,
disconnected.
I'm sorry. It's recording.
Oh, it
It
is?
is recording. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that it
I
was
think
on.
Ryan turned it on. It's up in the upper left corner.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
All right, sorry.
Um, so a lot of times, you may get a plan and it's somebody wants to raise a house and build a new house. And it's like, well, why? We don't have the background history. So sometimes people come in and they'll want to either get on the agenda or come in before and tell us what they're doing. So we have a better sense of what they're doing. So when we do make a recommendation, it's a little bit more, educational for us. We deal with developers, so projects that are going on, like right now, Richie Rosen has a project up on Vincent Street. 5 houses that are being built up there. And so through the process of the project, we'll be involved. We have our engineer. So we have a couple of engineers that we use. They're not town employees, but they contract with us. So we'll ask someone like a Ross Engineering or a Mike Peralt to come in and be our engineer for a particular project. And what they do is they're our eyes and ears on the engineering side. They're looking at the plans and making comments that we'll take a list of the comments. Not all of us are in civil and, that kind of construction background. Adam is, he's, I think, a pipe fitter, or he works with gas lines and stuff like that. I'm an electrical engineer, so I review plans all the time, but not everybody has that in the background. So we're a diverse group that is relying on the engineer's recommendations. A lot of times we're looking at it and we may make an opinion, I don't want that in my backyard, but then we have to look at the rules and regulations and say, they're within the rights, and, this is how it is. So, and we'll make discussions, we'll have votes on things. But developer, we go through the process until they're done and they turn in as-built documents, which means that they're done. Their surveyors have gone back out and resurveyed and marked up the drawings and then recatted the drawings, restamped them, and presented them back to the town with a legal description. And then we put those up for town acceptance. So what ends up happening is a developer holds on to the responsibility of that road until it gets accepted. When it gets accepted, the town does get money from the state for a roadway. I don't know how much, but it is well worth doing. And we get that accepted by the town, and then the DPW takes full control of it.
Okay.
In our town, the DPW does a lot. They'll do snow removal on a developer's property because the people living there, if there are houses that are occupied, people are still paying taxes. So
Right.
the DPW is not going to sit there and go, well, you guys aren't part of our plowing, so we're not going to do it. The developer does have a responsibility, and we end up holding bonds and things like that to kind of hold them accountable in some cases, but some things like that the town does take care of. There are a lot of things that we do, but our main objective is subdivision control law. So what that means is we don't plan anything. It's a bad name for us. But what we do is people bring plans to us, and then we'll review the plans and we'll say, okay, it's approval not required. Then, or is it zoning? If it's a zoning issue, then it goes to the zoning board. If it's a subdivision, then it goes to us. And we basically monitor not the houses that get built, but we're looking at the roadways, the sidewalks, the utilities, anything that the town is going to be responsible for.
Okay.
So what we want to make sure is they're not getting something that is garbage and that they don't like. So we have a lot of rules and regulations in the planning board guide to tell developers what they need to do. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Mary, who's been doing this longer than I can ever remember. I mean, she was on the board well before I was, and
2002 I started.
2002, and I think Wayne talked me into coming in '05, I think it was. But we're a good group. I mean, everybody gets along. There are times when you don't want to come to a meeting. Let's face it. And that's why we have
Whatever
what
do
that
you
we
mean, Eric?
I don't know. I was on vacation last week, so back off.
So,
But
can I say something?
yeah, sure. Go ahead, Mary.
So, so Melissa, when I started in 2002, before any of these lovely people, obviously I've stayed 18 years. You know what I mean? The board has had switching, changing, whatever, but it doesn't sound overly exciting when people talk about what it is. I was a mom that was at home with my little kids when I started this, and I was kind of like, I don't know anything about the planning board, but I've stayed all these years. I've made all these great contacts, and it really is a good. And you don't have to know all this. Like, you'll learn as you go along. You'll be taking minutes in that, but a lot of this, it's amazing what I know from doing this. I had no idea when I started. So don't feel overwhelmed when you hear talks of subdivision control law and engineers and all that, because trust me, it will be okay. And I'm always here. Like I said, even though I don't want to hold the position any longer, I will always help out, and I will always be here. Okay. That was it.
Is there a level of training that goes along with this position, Mary?
yes.
I don't know how that's worked out, but
Yes. No,
yeah,
I will
so
totally. It's not like you won't be left to flounder alone. I'm always here.
So, like Mary said, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you do pick up. And it's not a position that you need to know what subdivision control is. I mean, if you want to read the subdivision control law, hey, great. I mean, that helps, but it's something that you'll pick up after a few developers come before the board, and sometimes they get entertaining. We have had quite a few meetings. Lonnie's been part of some of the meetings that we've had. Actually, all of them. A couple of the developers that we've had going on, and some residents and whatnot. But we try to do what we can, and we hold our cool as long as we can. But sometimes it gets interesting. But it is pretty good. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let you tell us a little bit about yourself and what attracted you to this position, and then I'm going to let some of the members ask questions or have comments or whatever. We can just have an open discussion, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
And then you can, if you have any questions, you can ask us as well.
Okay. Well, I've been in the childcare just for
You'll fit in.
15 years. I've run 3 different childcare centers, and up until March, when as everything closed down, my last place closed down, and just with all the regulation changes and everything, it was just too much for them because we were such a small facility to handle. So they ended up closing down. I definitely have always enjoyed the more technical side of my job, with get the regulations for the state from EEC and our licensor that used to come in. I've always liked that aspect of it.
Okay.
And so when I saw this, I thought, well, that's, a different set of, licensing standards and things like that. Like I like to know how things work and what you can do and things like that. So it definitely piqued my interest to kind of learn something new, along the same lines of what, different regulations that I'd like to learn over the way.
Okay, good. All right.
So definitely, I mean, like I said, I have, obviously I don't know subdivision law, but
No.
I am used to
Most
reading
people don't.
things like that put forth by the state. So,
No,
I am used to being able to kind of read through the different standards and things like that. So I think that's something that I could probably pick up kind of quickly on.
Okay, because you would find there are going to be times when a developer may call in and want to get an information right away.
Mhm.
Mary is in the town hall. Well, she was in the town hall. Now she's over at the senior center. So the developers, would come and bug her while she was at her other job. And I mean, that has happened. I mean, I've spent a lot of time with attorneys when we've been in court cases. So it can take up some time there, but I mean, if childcare opens back up and then you don't want to be answering a Steve Egan question while you're doing your other job. We just have to make sure that everybody's aware that we'll get back to them
Yeah.
in a timely manner as best as we can, and everybody will help out as far as that goes. Mary's not going anywhere, so she'll be helpful too.
He's
All
not
right,
letting you go anywhere.
Like I said, I'll be quote gone, but I'll still be here.
there you go. Okay. You have anything else you want to add? Or?
Um, Not really.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions you want to bring up? Anything?
How long have you been in Whitman?
So 13 years I've been in Whitman.
Good long time.
Yep. And you didn't run for the board. Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
I don't.
All right. For the minutes, I mean, Mary, I can't understand a single thing she writes down because she does it in shorthand. I don't know shorthand. I will never learn it.
It's my own version of.
However it is. But I don't know how you are at taking notes.
Mhm.
That is something that is an important part of it. I mean, these meetings that we're doing now on Zoom are recorded.
Yep.
And they do pop up, and I hear from other people that, oh, hey, I saw you guys on the meeting. It's like, okay. But I mean, that if there's a means and methods for capturing a lot of what goes on,
Yep.
we're open to doing it. I mean, if you want to use a tape recorder, as long as it's reliable and you're trying to take notes at the same time so that
Yep.
you're not losing any of the information. Because what we end up doing is when we have a meeting, we open up the meeting officially, and then we have to vote to close it out. And between that period of time where Mary's taking notes on all the activities we're doing, sometimes we got some jibber jabber going on, doesn't require minutes. But if we're having a discussion with the developer, the intent of what's going on really needs to be captured.
Yep.
So a lot of times, we do that, and then Mary puts together the minutes, usually the next meeting or the one after that. She'll have them all typed up, and we look at them, we review them and say, okay, I think, Lonnie said this, or Lonnie will pick out some spelling mistakes, and Elaine has picked out some as well. They're quick to do it. But, and then we amend the minutes, or we vote them with the corrections noted.
Okay.
So there's that activity that goes along, as well as some of the other stuff. It can be overwhelming if I sit down and tell you everything we got to do. I mean, I think Mary, have you had a discussion with her at all going over any of this stuff?
I have not, because
You have not?
this is the official interview. But just so you know, I do have everything. Like, I have a thumb drive with like all past year stuff and everything on there. So there's plenty of information and format that you could use to follow along what's been done in the past.
Yeah. And we also, there is an account that we have, a revolving account. So what happens is developer comes in and there's a fee they have to pay based on the amount of lots and whatnot. Money goes into an account, and that money is used for the engineering services. Our engineer that we hire, we get bills from the engineer and we got to pay it, and that's what it comes out of. And we have to keep a running total while they're very active in the project of $2,000.
Okay.
So, if we pay a bill and it goes down to $48, we have to then write a letter to the developer and say, hey, you're down to 48, you have to bring your account back up.
Okay.
Sometimes, by the time they bring it back up, we get another bill. So sometimes we can be going back and forth a lot. And it is non-refundable to the developer. So when we get towards the end of a project, they really don't want to do it. And I don't blame them. I mean, it's money that they're giving away that they're not going to get back. But if it's paying for the engineering, they're usually pretty good about that. So, you know, you get contacted by the developers, you'll get contacted by the engineers. Sometimes they're discussing things amongst themselves and you just get correspondences and, you know, here's a report for a site visit or a review that was done. And then we'll just ask the engineer to come before the board and, you know, explain what he's done
Mhm.
or she's done. And then we go through that and then make recommendations based on what they provide us. So really that's it in a nutshell. You
And
know, it's, yep.
I'll throw in another 2 cents. So the meetings are the second and fourth Tuesdays of every month.
Mhm.
It's been a little different through COVID because sometimes it's a problem getting a Zoom meeting through cable access and things like that, depending on how many people are scheduled.
Mhm.
But generally, those are like the only like set times for meetings that you know you have a set schedule. The rest of it, at least from my aspect of all the years of doing this, you know, obviously there's things you have to get done, but you get it done around your schedule.
Mhm.
You know, when I first started, my kids were, I think, 2 and 4. That's how long it's been. But you know what I mean? I would get it done around whatever with their schedule and then, you know, drop it off, whatever I needed to at town hall. Again, as long as you can get there during, you know, business hours at some point, whether you're
Yeah.
making a deposit or picking up your mail or whatever. Again, it's on your time, as long as obviously in a timely manner. So
Yeah,
it makes it easy to kind of work around things.
it's flexible, you know, and as board members, I mean, we're all volunteers. This is a paid position.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you, hey, come on in and volunteer to do it, but we have committed ourselves to volunteering for this. So we don't get paid, unfortunately, but nonetheless, that's what we signed up for. But yeah, that's it. I mean, do you have any questions as far as anything with the position?
No, I mean, I've gotten a lot of information, so I've been trying to write it down as we go.
Nah, it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff.
So I think I don't really have any specific questions right now.
Okay. And as
Sheila's
far
awfully
as
quiet tonight.
she is, I think she's on mute.
No,
No?
she's
She
got
is
no.
on mute. She's got no
No,
audio. That's why she's
she's
quiet.
got no audio.
Oh, I don't.
Oh,
You were just there. A little bit.
Oh gosh, I'll try
there
to
you
be
go.
heard.
That's it. That's it.
You got
Okay.
it.
I
Okay.
hear you now.
Sheila, you usually have some comment, something to say.
Yeah. No. I actually have. I have nothing tonight. Surprising.
Yeah. She has a really cute baby, Melissa.
So I guess what we'll do is we'll have to talk to Frank and find out what the next steps are.
Okay.
And you know, if anybody on the board has anything they want to say to me offline, by all means, feel free to call me or email me and we can talk. But I mean, as far as I see, I mean, it's nice to meet you. And as far as ability to start,
Mhm.
if we were to
I'm
go through the process or whatever Frank would have to do if we decide that we're going to
Mhm.
hire you for the position, when would you be able to start?
I'm open to whatever, so whenever's.
Okay. All right. And if the COVID issue goes away, which, you know, we're all hopeful, but I don't know if it's going to happen right away. But if you get back into doing daycare, is these hours, you know, is this still
Yeah,
workable?
My hope is to not get back into doing daycare. I
okay.
definitely have been doing it a long time, and I would love to, you know, start a different venture on a different path. So anything that I get anything I end up doing would be around, if I'm doing this job, it would be around.
Okay. Okay. All right, cool. All right.
And again, and just from my point of view, it is totally, because again, your real commitment is the meetings.
Right.
Everything else you can work around your schedule. So it does add a lot of flexibility to what you can do.
Sure.
Obviously, 18 years later, I'm still here.
You
And
mean-
I've done a lot of things in those 18 years.
And I mean, following Mary's history on this, I mean, she came in as the recording secretary and she ended up getting hired as an assistant town clerk. So she got into the town hall with that, and now she's over at the senior center. So, you get into a position, not saying it's going to guarantee anything, but
Yeah.
it gives the opportunity to at least be recognized in the town as a town employee and be able to move throughout the town and get into that if you need to. We get chat. Okay. Does anybody have anything before we finish up? No, it's awful quiet.
I know.
Where's Adam when we need him? So I don't have any more questions. I think the next step is, we may have a few discussions amongst ourselves and then have a conversation with Frank. And then what we'll do is we'll reach out to you and let you know which direction we're going and, time-wise as to what we can try to accomplish.
All right. Well, sounds good. Thank you so much for your time.
Very good. Thank you. It was
Nice
nice
to meet
meeting you.
Nice to
Thank
meet you.
you. Good night.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks.
Bye.
Night.